So we're at the time of the year where virtually every day that we go out, it's a little chillier and colder than the day before. I waited today until the temperature went up to 40 degrees. I like to ride above 40 degrees because what happens as I ride north, it gets colder and colder. In fact, today there was ice on some of the lakes and it was a lot colder than 40 degrees. I like 40. When I was younger, I'd go out maybe at even colder, but it's about anything less than 40. I stay home and make more videos. Well, it's the time of year. The weather gets a little chillier every morning. We're dressing a little warmer and drinking more coffee, but we still want to get a ride every day. We got a little maintenance to do today before we ride, but we want to get out on the open road. Now, because this bike, 40-year-old bike, any 40-year-old bike, I like to do it as much maintenance as I can. Before anything breaks, I like to keep things clean, get a good coat of wax on everything, but pretty soon they're going to salt the roads the minute it snows. And we're getting into that time of the year where I want to protect the bike as much as possible. And what happened the last time I rode, I was riding behind, I don't know, a dump truck or something. I got all little white spots on the bike. I don't know what the heck that was. Maybe it was just paint or something from the road. But anyway, it never hurts to take a little bit of Flitz, clean everything right up, pour some polish or compound or whatever. But that Flitz ball is really a handy tool when it comes to polishing or just getting off. I think what I did, there was probably some wet paint or something. It seemed like it came right off, but I had no idea what it was. Now this time of year, I take all of the bikes that have carburetors and put in an ounce a gallon of seafoam at least once a year. Now, the late Bob Nivola introduced me to this. I did it on the GS at one time had an issue with idling and I didn't want to take the carbs off. I put some seafoam in. After the ride, it idled perfect. I don't know if that was just lucky, but it's about $10. The big one I think is 12 or 13 at AutoZone. But once a year I do that, just preventive maintenance. And Oscar, thank you so much for that model. I have it down by my editing desk and I enjoy looking at it every day. Thank you. So my thought always is, how does a bike get to be iconic? How does it get to be that wherever you go, people recognize this bike as being one of the real icons of the 80s? And I think one of the first things that would make any bike iconic is it stands the test of time. To me, the beauty of the design, the design work of the blending everything in to one package, I think that's exceptional on this bike. And if you look close here, you can see the lakes are starting to freeze up. Well, this is just part of living in this part of the country. It's starting today. And again, about the iconic style, and no matter what angle you look at it from, everything matches, everything seems to belong. It isn't like at the end of it they decided to just add like a Mr. Potato Head part. Everything on this bike, to me, is really, I mean really, well styled. And all the iconic styling in the world, if you don't have an iconic engine, a bulletproof engine, that in its time was one of the most sought after engines if you were building a drag racer, that engine is iconic too. when I changed the wheels to black with the red accent stripe that matches the Suzuki lettering, I thought that was a little bit, just a little bit of an upgrade over the stock wheels that came with the bike. And one of the things I do like is no matter what angle you look at this bike, from the side, the back, low, high, if you look out your attic window, the styling, to me, it just really is beautiful. Now look at the bright sun hitting the leaves, the autumn leaves, and reflecting in the engine. If that isn't an iconic picture. Wow, I didn't realize that picture was going to come out like that when I took it. And we're getting into the season, this part of the country. Look at the Christmas ornaments on the front lawn of this house. People are decorating. This is a great season. A great time. Some people never ride in the cold weather. They miss all the Christmas decorations, I guess. And I do remember when these bikes were being reviewed, when they were new in magazines. That was in a day when we really had paper magazines. It was pretty cool. And they used to go on and on about how comfortable the seat is. And here it is. It's 40 years later. That seat is still pretty comfortable. Now, Karen always tells me of all the bikes that I have, she thinks styling-wise, this is the most beautiful bike. And she's a trained artist. And I love that color. And if there ever was an iconic sound, the sound that comes out of even the stock mufflers, and some of the ones with aftermarket exhausts, or this exhaust is an 86, but the sound that comes out of the engine is just beautiful. And all that polished aluminum glistening in the sun. Every time you go to take a picture, you have to be careful. The sun isn't reacting like a mirror back and ruin your picture. What a beautiful bike. I love it. So iconic styling, iconic power, iconic sound. There's a lot of reasons to like this motorcycle. I'm so glad I have two of them in my collection, and I'll have this till I die. Now, last winter I upgraded the 40-year-old brake system with steel lines from Joe Padula and brand new rotors from Pokey. Guys, thank you very much. I enjoy using them every ride. And what I like most about this bike is it does so many things well. It in every way. It's comfortable. It gets really good mileage for a bike this good. It's good if you have a passenger. And it just, the styling always is the cherry on a sundae. And if you look at the lakes, and this is one of the ones north of where our Rutherford is, they already have the ice starting. Now, again, there's so many things that I think the bike does well, and it suits my needs. I like to get on a bike and not have a backache after 3 or 4 hours, not have sore shoulders or wrists, and I want to always be comfortable when I'm done with the ride. Joe Padula said something interesting. He's finished his restoration. We went out riding together with the two GSs, and he said the bike is as comfortable as his brand new BMW touring bike. That's saying something. And of course I have 1640 gearing with a 530 chain conversion, and that has worked so well because I have to ride out to this riding area on Route 80 every time I ride, and it just makes the cruise out there, the engine is hardly even above idle. And one of the very few things I wish Suzuki had done better or different was to make the airbox and pulling the carburetors off the bike just a little bit easier, just a little bit. So I'm trying to take some nice pictures with the scenery that is available, and on this picture, look at that red. It looked like the sun fell out of the sky here. I don't know how that happens. I'm sure it's an optical illusion. And as a free bonus, having historic plates, it's historically registered. What it means is it's basically a free bike for the rest of my life. Never have to pay to register the bike again. That's good. Well, at least one thing today, the leaves seem to stay on the side of the road. I didn't hit a lot of patches where there were leaves blowing out into the road, and boy, that's a giant big advantage. And kind of a little sad note, I wonder how many bikes over the years were very close to becoming iconic, but they just had one fatal flaw. This one doesn't. And it's been 40 plus years. It's actually longer than 40 years now that I've owned this bike. And I've enjoyed twisting that throttle open. And every time I do, every time, I guarantee you, there's a smile on my face. Another thing I really like, the way they have the instruments that you can actually see them without bending over or squinting. Classic instruments. And back in the 80s, they still hadn't started making bikes out of plastic and covering everything with flat black plastic parts. They actually left some aluminum showing, and if you wanted to, you could polish away and make it as shiny as anything. One of the only problems was we started out at 40 degrees. Up here, up north, it's probably more in the very high 30s, but it never really warmed up today. But it doesn't seem to matter warm or cold or somewhere in between. Going through the gears or holding that throttle wide open, there's just no way that isn't fun. No matter what bike you like best, it's fun. And we still have some time where it's not really below freezing yet, and they haven't really salted the roads yet. But it is getting colder by the day, and we always take that into account. When it really gets brutal, we still have our electric gloves and our nuclear options. But it's still just great getting out on the open road today. And 3 hours out on the open road, it clears out the cobwebs, gives you a whole new perspective on life. And when I come home, Karen will be the witness to this. I get back, I always want coffee, and I have a smile on my face. ride today. It was really cold. Up north, it's even colder. The lakes are starting to freeze up. What can I say? Winter's coming. It's definitely coming. Saw some houses with Christmas decorations already. Karen and I are in the mood to do archery already. Anyway, it's the time of year where we start to get dressed warmer and warmer and warmer and hope it stays above 40 degrees. So this did turn out to be an iconic day on an iconic motorcycle, and when I get back home, Karen has that pot of coffee waiting, sitting for me, and I usually come back out to the yard and take a few pictures, and I think to myself, wow, if there ever was an iconically styled bike, if you only counted the styling. Look at that picture. I love that picture. I am so glad I have two of these. I'm so glad I have my little humble collection. I love my Ninjas. I love riding around on the MT-09. These evil twins, though, they are cool. Anyway, and I do love the MT-09. A great birthday present. Thank you, Karen. And the two-strokes. We had a few two-stroke rides this summer that were iconic. And one bike from every 10-year period. And the biggest thing of all, to have such great friends. And if you get bored to death, just do a power wheelie. And thanks so much for watching.